All right, I think we are live, right? Yes, we are live. I don't know that there's anybody here, but let's see. I gotta set my moderators here, or moderator settings. I don't know. I don't need that. Welcome, guys. I'm gonna wait just a couple more minutes to see if anybody else joins, and then I'll get started. Basically, I'm going to be showing you working on this website here. I'm going to show you how to create a perfect blog post. And that includes taking the content and laying it out in a visually appealing way, making sure there's titles, making sure there's images, making sure there's all the fun stuff that makes a blog post more engaging. That's what we're going for here. So let me set this to record. And quick introduction, this is samcarterart.com, also known as Carter Creator Design Services, and it's just a website I finished recently. This has about 3 stages, and this is stage 1. So we designed the front page, we laid out everything, and the front page is very, very specific to the company, but they recently decided to actually add a blog post, a blog section. And so we're going to work on the first blog post since the relaunch of the site, because they had a blog in the past, but hasn't been very active. With this whole facelift, then we are making it more basically active. And after we're done, we're going to add a blog menu up here, but for the time being, there's not going to be anything. And you know, if you are listening and watching, I'll tell you a little bit about a blog. Blogs are, especially now with everything that's going on from COVID to the protests and everything that's going on, a blog may be the best way to get the word out for something that you want, because I've been following news and events in TikTok, in YouTube, in Facebook, on Twitter, and all 4 of those platforms have been censoring censoring post depending on how they decide that they're going to go. Now, we could fight it and argue all we want about that, but at the end of the day, if you have your own website, your own blog, then you can always get the word out. You have to build an audience, but nobody's going to censor you. I highly recommend a blog, no matter whether you're an artist, whether you have a hobby, a craft, something to share with your family. You can make blog posts private. You can have a password behind them. You can do all kinds of things to protect that from people you don't want to see. But the most important part is that you can actually see blog posts from anybody, and they can see yours without restriction from networks and censorship that they decide to impose on you for whatever reason. The one thing that I want to emphasize, of course, we already have the blog. If you are starting, then this is going to look a little bit different for you. But basically, this is using WordPress and a page builder called Elementor. Now, why am I using Elementor? Elementor is really, really great. I recently fell in love with it because it really lets you customize your blog posts and your pages however way you want. You can add... It is so flexible. I'm going to go into it and show you in a little bit, and then we can go into more details. And my friend Marcy actually just sent me a message saying, hey, Elementor's having a sale today, so check it out. Link is on my Facebook profile. Okay, just making sure that the stream is working. This is my very first live, guys. And of course, I couldn't just do a live video. I had to get all fancy, and I have a bunch of stuff going on, and I'm just hoping that it's working. And I'm also recording on my desktop, so then I can turn this into a video to publish on my YouTube channel. And so let's see if, well, we're just going to go for it in just a second. Well, let's switch back to the website and let's have a look. So this is what the website looks like. And what we first have to do, of course, is go into the dashboard. And we're going to go into the dashboard here. Basically, what we're looking for is the blog post section, and that is all the way, it's always over here on the left hand side under post, and we want to click on all post and then all add new post. But right here under post, you have all post and add new post. So you're going to click on that and you're going to get a blog post that looks like this. Well, you're going to get, let's do it. I had some tabs open to avoid waiting for it to load, but I might as well do it and show you. Click on all posts and then click on add new. That's going to open up a new tab like this. Once you have that open, because we are using Elementor, we're going to immediately click on edit with Elementor. Well, we would normally click on that, but the very first thing you want to do anytime you start a blog post is to give it a title. Because once you have a title, then WordPress starts creating your starts auto-saving. So if your browser crashes or something, then it's going to be saved every few minutes, depending on some settings and stuff. But we're not going to get into those settings. Just click on the title, put a title in, and click on Save Draft. The moment you save the draft, then it starts auto-saving. I'm going to wait a second. Once it says saved, now we go into Edit with Elementor. Now this title, of course, you're going to have to come up with your own. This is just what the client gave me, and I added that in there, so pretty straightforward. Right now, I'm not going to be typing the blog post. I'm simply going to be creating it. Notice the difference. This looks very different than a normal WordPress post when you go create a new post. That's because Elementor is controlling this view right now, and what we're going to do is we're simply going to drag and drop some of these elements into this section and create the post. Very nice, Sam. Thank you so much. I see your comment. I have to look at two screens, so I appreciate you. And by the way, thanks for everybody that's watching. If you like what you're watching, please give it a little heart or like or whatever. It will really help me out. So what we're going to do here is, I can't show you the email because I didn't set up a screen to show you that, but I have an email from Sam here that contains all the settings and all the text. So of course you're going to have to write that up. And here's a really, really hot tip that I recommend for you guys. If you feel overwhelmed with WordPress or anything related to WordPress, write your blog post anywhere else, on a notepad, on Word, and then later on you can copy and paste the content. That way you can just focus on laying out the content using WordPress as a layout editor. So the first thing you can do here is you can either click on the plus or drag one of these directly into here. And if you click on plus, you're going to get a few more options like columns and stuff like that. So we're going to do it that way. And we're just going to click on the full width option here. And then it opens up this little box right here. Now, if you click on plus here, you can then add the type of widget that you want. And I'll explain right now what we're going to do. But you can also go into the widget section right here immediately and click on that and add from this area. So we're going to do a text editor. We want to put that in here. And that's the very basic thing that you need. This is where you would have all your text. And I already went to my email and copied all the text that the author gave me here, and we're going to just paste it in here. Now, of course, he gave me directions as to where the images go, because he gave me a ton of images that go into the blog post, which is great. So at the very least, we already have a blog post. And let me show you what this is going to look like. This is what everybody's first blog post should or could look like. Let's just delete the text here, because I have a separate thing to look at that. And we may be actually changing some of that, not the order, but we want to change the text. So we're building the simple text right now, and we're going to click down here under the little expansion menu and click on Save Draft, because we don't want to publish it yet. As soon as that's saved, then you can look at a preview. And if we click on a preview, then of course we see this is what it looks like. Now the content may be great, it's a great story, but this is boring. That is absolutely boring. What you want to do actually is, of course, add images, add video. And here's another hot tip for all bloggers out there. When you first start out, you will have a challenge on writing. If writing doesn't come naturally to you, that's okay. But part of the purpose of the thing that you have to do with your blog is to get people to stay on your page and read it for a little while. Google rewards websites that have that ability. So one way to do that is to get videos integrated into your blog post. And it doesn't have to be your video. It can be somebody else's video that's related to it. So long as you go to YouTube and you copy the link, and I'll show you how to do all that in just a minute. When you copy the link and you post it into your blog, if it loads, if it's embedded and it works, you are free to use that. That's part of the terms of service with YouTube, and part of how the internet works at large. You're not stealing their video, you're not using it without permission, you're simply embedding that code into your website, and you're free to do that. You could, out of courtesy and maybe to build a relationship with that person, you could send them a message, say, hey, by the way, I'm using your video here, and thank you for posting that, we really like it, whatever you want to do. But you don't have to get permission, and you don't have to do anything further after you publish that video on your website. Now, you're not allowed to download it and upload it to your website. That's totally different. We're not going to cover that. As I was talking to Sam earlier, then we are going to put a video in here, even though he doesn't have his own video for this. So we're going to take care of that as well. This is how the website looks. Like I was saying, it's pretty straightforward. So we have it in a different tab. Let's close this, and now we have this. Okay. One thing that you should do is when you write a blog post, you need to break it up into readable, digestible pieces of text. This may look great on an essay, for example, on a page, because it's properly set, like you would type a college paper or a letter. However, for a blog post, because a lot of people are using their mobile devices, I don't have my phone here with me, you need to break it so that it fits nicely into the screen. So I don't even need to be an editor or even really know the story to be able to do that. People are a lot more forgiving reading a blog post on the structure of your text. So it doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have 3 to 5 paragraphs on each block. I mean, 3 to 5 sentences on each block. That's only if you're writing papers for college or whatever. So I'm going to break it up a little bit here. And this looks like a good point. And I'm going to break it up into here one more time. So now this is going to just give the blog a little bit more body. And we're going to break it up right here again. And one more time right here. I just want to break it up into more digestible chunks of text that are easy to scroll through and easy to scan on a mobile device. That is the very first thing I want to do. And again, I'm going to click on Save Draft. Now, I'm only doing that to illustrate that you need to keep your work saved, but you could also just allow WordPress to do the autosaves, and 99% of the time that works, so you are safe to do that. So now I need to go get the images real quick, so let me get that. If you have any questions, please let me know. I would really appreciate them. I'm checking out my chat as I go through, but let me get those images and we can go from there. And again, we are doing a live blog post, perfect blog post basically. We're not going to cover SEO in depth, but we are going to touch on it a little bit. So that hopefully will be helpful for most people. Let me download all my, and excuse some of the noise, of course. I'm with the coronavirus and COVID or whatever, everybody's home, and it just kind of became part of life here. Let me check. Nope, you can't see my window with that. I'm going to show you how to upload them into the media, and then we're going to insert them in here into where they go, and you're going to see this blog post take shape. We can take a look right now, and it's already going to be looking better because of the breaks we did. See, so it's a little bit more digestible. That's kind of the key thing here. So, okay, let's go back to it, and we're going to now add images. Now, the first thing we want to do is we're going to go to the dashboard, and we're going to go to the media library. Now, why do I do this? Instead of adding the images directly to the blog post, I like to put them into the media library, because then I can then pull them into the blog post, but it's a good habit to have, in my opinion, to go into the media library, put them there, and then use them everywhere, because it reinforces the fact that you only need an image once. You don't need to keep uploading it if you're going to use it again somewhere else. And I see a lot of early beginner mistakes. They think that if they're going to put an image in one location, then they go and they upload it to this location, and then they type in some more, they add more text, and then they want to put it somewhere else, and then they upload it again. And at the end of the blog post, they may have 2 or 3 images that are really the same. So this reinforces the idea of uploading once and then having it available. And this works across the whole website, not just for your blog post, but it works for everything else. So we're going to go to the library and we're going to add new. And once we do that, I have a folder with, let me see, we have 9 images selected, 8 images selected. So one thing that you could do is you could just drag and drop one image and drop it in. Notice how it turns into a blue border. We drop it in, it uploads, and then it becomes available. The other way to do it, of course, is to add the images in the traditional way by clicking on select files. So I'll show you that now. So let's go select files, and let's find the folder where my images are, and I'm going to select the other ones that I didn't upload a moment ago, and then click open. And you should see that all of them are going to start uploading. Takes just a few seconds per image, and this will now be available under the main library as a post. So I'm going to wait a minute for those to upload, and let's have a look here. Let's have a look. So notice here, if we click on the grid view for the media library right here, we should see all those images that have been uploaded, and it may be they may still be uploading because I'm doing uploads, people are watching videos and all that stuff here. But in any case, so these images are over a meg each, which I recommend that you take a little bit of time to make them smaller, but for the demonstration purposes, we're going to leave them as is. So all these new images, the images will always show in the order in which you upload them, with the latest one being in this top corner. So if I refresh this, I should see 9 images, and that's where I'm going to put into the blog post. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's one more that's being uploaded right now. We're just going to ignore it for now and get back to the blog post. So let's find my blog post here. And off screen, I'm looking at kind of my cheat sheet to know where the images go. And the very first image that we want is, so we want to open, according to the instructions here, we want to open with an image. So this is where Elementor is very different than a normal WordPress blog post. See, let me do it and I'll explain as I go. This is one block of text, but if we want to put images in between, we would normally have to go and edit and insert an image in between the paragraphs, like right here. But we're not going to do that. We're going to click on this plus button to add a new block section, a new element, so to speak. And that's going to add this widget, and then we're going to put an image right here. We're going to add, same as we did before, put that in there, and then we're going to use this method now, and what we want to do is put an image in here. Now you get a placeholder first, and then over here on the left hand side, we're going to edit, and we're going to see what images go in there. And let me look at my cheat sheet here, and he wants the blog VVS tree art, which I'm assuming is going to be this one. So this image is the first one that we should go and put it in place. So let's go see what that looks like. So that looks pretty good to me. Now we're going to leave it the way it is, and we want to center it. No caption for now. However, I do recommend that your images have a caption and alt text, because that makes it more friendly to the search engines. So we're going to just take a look and see what that looks like. Save draft. In just a few moments, when we do all the images, and we're going to go and polish up the text, maybe do some pull quotes, and maybe do some links. You always want to do links that are internal and also external, and we're going to find that it takes a little bit of time, takes a little bit more effort, but the end result is really great. So here's the image, and it looks good. Now, in my opinion, we should always open up with text, but this is something I'll discuss with the client at the end. Normally, you want to open up with maybe one paragraph and then put the next image down below. But we're going to just move down the list. And now we're going to have a bit of a problem here, because you see, what happens if we want to put images in between here? So what we're going to do is we're going to start breaking this post up into chunks. So we're going to add this, and we want to add another text editor in here, and we're going to copy the very first paragraph. So all the way, we're going to just remove this section here from the big section, and we're going to add it to this one. Now in the final product, that looks the same as if I left it the way it was. See, this looks the same, but we know that this section here and this section here are technically two blocks on our editing window. So that allows us to insert something in between. And that's what we're going to do next. We're going to add the Mickey Mouse slides here. So let's go find that. We're going to add a box. And we're going to add an image. We're going to add an image here and Mickey Mouse lights. There you go. So this is the one that he wants in that location. Let's add that in there. And for the time being, as it is, it looks okay. So let's put that in there. And we're just going to keep moving down the list. Next, he wants the paragraph all the way up to Christmas. So I'm just going to go look for here, and right here. This is where he wanted to break off and put a little gallery here. So I'm just going to find that section and Century Christmas. So this whole section here, I'm going to take it up and put it into its own chunk, because the next section is going to be a video. It's going to be a gallery of a collection of photos instead of just a single photo. So right here. So far so good. Oh, and I think he just messaged me. Hey Sam, if you are there, you feel free to message that in the chat as well. You can add that first paragraph above. Okay, so he said that you can put the paragraph right above the photo, as I was saying. And this is the coolest part about Elementor right now. Watch this. So I can just come here and where is it? I can click on this and drag, put it above, and now that paragraph is above the image. So we are done with that part. It would have taken quite a while before, and I'm guessing that we want to break this up a little bit, but we'll come back around. Right now we're going to just add a gallery of pictures right here with, I think it's the rest of the images. So click on that plus, click on this plus, we're going to do this, and then we're going to click on this plus, and now Elementor gives us two kinds of galleries. Gives us a gallery here, and then a simple gallery somewhere down below. So what we're going to do is click on, well, we're just going to add the one gallery that's right here. We're going to drop it in here. It's pretty straightforward, just like the other stuff. Now, the options to select the images is different than the single image. The images that this is where it gets not tricky, but it actually lets you be a little creative, and I'm going to go through all the options. But if you have any questions, drop them down below. Even if you're watching this later, please give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. It would really be helpful. I'm also starting a group for content and marketing, and I'll put the link at the end of the video, and also I'll put it in the comments of this video. Wherever you're watching this, look in the description or the comments. I would love to have you join me. It's basically a private Facebook group talking about content marketing and how to create beautiful content like this. So the next thing I want to do is, of course, find those images. We already uploaded them, and that's why I upload all my images at once into the library, because then they're available when I need them, instead of having to go back and forth, because it distracts you from your work to have to go hunt an image one at a time. You want to have all your text and your images ready. So let's click on the gallery, to select it, and now we can go and click into the images that we want. Nope, that's Clarabelle, I guess. So we want Goofy, Pluto, Clarabelle, and Horace. So notice there are little check marks coming up every time I click on them. So that means that it's going to be added to the gallery. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 images that are going to go on there. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're missing one. Make a mini tree. What's this? Nope, that's not it. If you select one that you don't want to add, obviously just click on the little check mark and it will go away. Oh, so this one right here. So now we have all 5 of them in whatever order they have been uploaded, and we're just going to create a new gallery. And look, this is where you could add a caption if you want. I'm not going to do that right now, but it is part of making a perfect blog post. You want to have captions on your images and also the alt text. To add an alt text, click on the image and type it in right here. Alt text should be descriptive of the image, but not necessarily, it's not necessarily going to be read on the web page. It's for assistive devices that people that can't see or have trouble looking at the website. They may be using a machine that reads it to them. So describe the image in brief detail as of, explain what's in there. So next we're just going to click on insert image. And the very first way that the gallery is displayed is pretty simple and kind of boring. It's just a grid, usually 4 by however many photos fit into there. But we're going to change that, and instead of doing a grid, I think we're going to change it to justified. And we're going to change this images to show full. Now, this is starting to look a little better. Now, it's like a grid that goes like this, but we're going to change the row height a little bit and see what happens if we go to like 300. Usually, the images will be rearranged like this. See this little brick method here? It makes them look a little bit nicer. So sometimes we'll get really nice images showing in a very, very compelling way. See, like this. So ultimately, this is up to you. And for me, this looks great. Sam may come to me later and say, hey, I want them all the same size and just a grid. That's fine, and you can change it. But you see how easy it is to change that. Simply play around with the sliders, and then you're done with it. One of the other settings that you want to do when you have a gallery, at least for this perspective, is to have the link go to the media file. That means when people click on the image, it's going to pop up. And instead of going to a link or to open up in a separate page, and we want it to go to the full size. The order, we're going to leave it as default, but you could change it to be random. And then you can, of course, rearrange the images any way you want, simply by going back over here, edit the gallery, and drag and drop them around like this, okay? But we're not going to do that right now. So now that we have that in there, let's click on Save Draft and see what it looks like. So we have the paragraph change that we made here. We have the images here. We have the other image and some text. And now the images are loading up here. Looks beautiful. Perfect. Now, technically, we are done. You could hit publish right now and be done. But there's some other things that we're going to do. Oh, we're missing one more image on the second paragraph. So let's go find that. So at the very bottom, I'm going to cut that out. And just like we've been doing, we're going to add a new. Now I have so much more respect for video producers and live show producers because down here, I can't show you, but I have 2 screens, and down below I have a screen that I need to switch back and forth between my video that I'm looking at you right now and my desktop. And I have a third video on my screen recording me, and there's also the desktop being recorded so I can produce this into a video later. Now I see why there's, one anchor person or one personality doing the video, and there's like 6 people manipulating everything else. Now I get it. But in any case, let's put this text here. So again, we broke it into a separate paragraph, and the last image goes in between those 2, so we'll add it one more time. So image, bring it in, and we're going to add that, and I think it's, yep, that's it. So insert media, boom, now we have the images there. And we have the blog post. Now I'm going to take the creative liberty right here real quick to break this into one more paragraph and break these two images. They look a little bit out of place being with now I'm doing this completely from a visual perspective, and this is good for anybody that's watching this with where you are doing this as a social media manager and content manager. At very first, I'm only going through this from a visual perspective. I don't really care what's being said in the story just yet. This is a graphical approach. You want to do it so that the blog post is eye-catching and it encourages people to stay on the blog post longer. Time on page is one of the most critical analytics that you can go after on your blog post. So that's why I'm doing it this way. So now it's looking a lot better. And let's have a look here. Let's edit this images really quick. So the image size here, let's do a full size. I want it to come all the way up to the edge right here of the text. And I'll do that in any image that's single by, standalone. I just want to go and change the size to full. And this one already does it automatically. And this one, we're going to do that as well. So this is just kind of polishing up things, and that's it. Now, I talked about a video earlier, and like I mentioned before, it does not have to be your own video. And Sam gave me a couple of videos earlier to choose from. We went back and forth and decided to use a short video from Disneyland. So an official video from Disneyland. And if you guys know, Disneyland is super, super careful, or not careful, but very, very protective of their brand and the usage of their content, basically their copyrighted content. So you have to be mindful of that when you're using pictures or videos. However, like I said at the beginning of the video, if it's on YouTube and you're allowed to embed it, and we're going to find out right now, then it's fair game. It doesn't matter if it's Disneyland, Viacom, your neighbor. If they post it on YouTube, they agreed with YouTube that their video would be embedded. And in fact, they have control over that. They can go into their settings and say, do not allow this video to be embedded. They could also do that. So this is why you want to test it first. Videos should go towards the beginning of your blog post, because here's the psychology of a blog post reader. Somebody that comes to read your blog goes to your website and looks. The very first thing they're going to do is look at the title. That's what brought them in to your blog post. Somewhere they read the title, and that's what caught their attention. They came into your website. The first thing they're going to look again at the title, and maybe look at the very first couple of lines. But then they're going to scroll down halfway or all the way down. 95% of the people do that. I've sat behind people to say, hey, to do this kind of test, and that's what they do. They want to look at the bottom and look at the top to see how long is this going to take me, and what else is there. Is this just an essay of 1,000 words that I don't have time to read right now, or is there pictures and videos that are interesting? This is why you break it down into images and videos, and break all those paragraphs, because it allows for that to happen, where you can, excuse the noise, I don't know if you can hear it, but we're going to find a good spot to drop that video in, and generally you want to add it towards the beginning of your video. So let's find a good spot for that. I think a good spot will be somewhere around right here. Normally I would put it maybe right after the first paragraph. And I'm actually going to put it right after the first paragraph right here. We'll add section here, and this is slightly different than WordPress again, because we're using Elementor. So we're going to click on plus, add this, and one of the widgets that we can add is a video embed, and it's right here, fifth one down. We're just going to drag and drop. And why should we use that instead of the normal one that's built into WordPress or just the embed code from YouTube? Because you have all these options right here. You can pick a time for the video to start. You could autoplay. Don't do that. If you don't autoplay, normally people don't like it. But you could loop it if you wanted to. You could also make modest branding, which means less YouTube-ish stuff. You could even put an image overlay and put like your logo here, for example. We could click on choose image, and we can put the website's logo in there. Now this is not a good image because a good idea because it looks goofy, but if you had an image crafted, you could put it in there. So we're going to leave that alone, but we are going to put the video that Sam gave me, which is a Disney video related to this blog post, and it starts right there. And we're not going to mute it. People click on the play, then they expect to hear the sound. So we're going to leave that there. And suggested videos. You can click on, what is going to be suggested. It doesn't matter. You don't have control over either one of these anyway. If it was your own channel, your own video, then you would want to put in current video channel. So that way it shows other videos related to you. If you click on any video, it's going to show videos related to that person that's watching it at the time based on their past viewing history. So I'm going to leave that alone and keep it there. And let's do another save draft. And then we're going to go and, oops, did I do that? Save draft. Click on Buena Vista. Now there's the video. And if we hit play, it should just play fine. In this case, it's super short. That's why I did not mess with the beginning or end time. But you could change that if you wanted to highlight a specific part of a video. Maybe it's 10 minutes long and your most important part is at minute number 7. You could change that. You can't normally do that with standard WordPress. This is why I'm loving Elementor. Now, the next thing that is missing here is some, what I call sophistication to the blog post. And that is some visual text enhancements. So now I'm going to just kind of scan through the content and see what it is that we can highlight. We want to link to a previous blog post. And I know specifically because I built this site and I've talked to the author already, that this is about something that's in their portfolio page. So whenever you talk about a blog post and you're covering a topic that you already covered in the past, whether it is a portfolio item, a product that you're selling on your store, another blog post, or an information page, you should link back to it. It's very important that you do that on a consistent basis because it reinforces the importance of those pages. So we're going to go here and find that portfolio item, which I believe, oh, maybe we did not, maybe it didn't make it into a portfolio item yet. I forgot. Yeah, it did not. So we're going to leave this alone for now. But we do want to add something here that would say, this is part of my portfolio and link back to it. So much for that. But let's see, this is where he plans on doing part of his career and stuff. I'm going to take the initiative here of changing a couple of things. And of course, the author can go in and change it later. But this is what you need to do. Right here. Thanks for stopping by as I dive deeper into some of my past projects. I'm going to click on my past projects and turn that into a link to go back to the portfolio because you want that to be linked. So we're going to click on that, click on the link icon here, and we're just going to type in portfolio. WordPress will automatically find some of the pages and we see it right here. And now we have that link. This also creates more visual appeal. People are going to say, oh, there's links there. There's stuff I can look at. Let's scroll down a little bit and read the rest of the text. Now, this is important here. This is important if you're in a special industry. Disney Creative Entertainment. You see, that's not just Disneyland or Disney. That is a very, very specific division of Disney. So what you should do as you're crafting your blog post is to take that and do a quick search and see if there's a specific website directly related to that. I'm guessing maybe a corporate entity or something. So we're going to look to see if we find anything like that. So I see that there's a blog here. We're looking for something that's specific. See, do we want a Wikipedia page? Maybe, maybe not. In our case, I don't think we do. Creative Drafts of Disney, maybe. Not here, not here. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. You want to be as relevant as you can because you want to serve your reader. DisneyFandom.com, no. Disney Creative Entertainment. Maybe Sam will chime in if he's still looking or watching, but you want to find a good link You don't want to just link to, for example, Disneyland or Disney. You don't want to do that. You want to be specific. So we're going to skip that for now. So I'm getting the new additions for California Adventure. So California Adventures, new additions for California Adventure. Okay, so maybe we're not going to find a lot of link opportunities here. He's talking about how he built part of this Christmas tree design and decoration. So what was interesting here was this random buildings. Okay, so yeah, this is going to be mostly a story. Buena Vista Street, we definitely want to link to that. That's a big, prominent feature of Disneyland, and I'm sure there's a lot of stuff about that. Maybe there's even an entry in the main website at Disneyland. So let's just look for that right here. Perfect. So Disney.go.com, and there's an entry directly about Buena Vista, so we're definitely going to take that link, put that in here. Buena Vista Street with Steam. There you go. So now the reason for that is when you do an internal link to other blog posts, it helps you strengthen those connections. When you do a link to an external place, Google recognizes the authority of those places and is getting really good at understanding what you're talking about, and it's going to give you credibility if you're linking to an authoritative source. So that's what we're doing right here. 1 to 3 links is good. So I'm going to keep going down a little bit more. The images are good, and that's pretty much it. So now here's something that makes that appeal. Again, talk about out of all this, you want to add some titles, but this is a blog post and it's kind of a storytelling, so there's not going to be a lot of places to add a title, but you normally want to break down your content into sections and give them titles. When that is not available, and even if it was available, the next thing is to do some pull quotes. And pull quotes are exactly what it sounds like, is a little highlight of the text that will enhance the text. And it doesn't have to be in the same spot as where you're physically going to locate it. If you think about a magazine, when you open up a magazine, most of the time when you read a feature article, in the center of the page or in some corner, there's a quote. And that quote is still part of the body of the entire article. It's just placed in a location to draw attention to your eye and to catch one glimpse of what you're about to read or what you just read, or reinforce something. And so I saw a little piece of text in here that I want to highlight with that, and that was this part right here. In typical Disney Force perspective goodness, we had 4 size bells. So this is an interesting quote that is part of the closing part of the blog, but we are going to copy that and add it somewhere up here. Maybe we're going to break this paragraph, or right here. And this is how we're going to add this in here. We're just going to maybe put it right here. And again, this is another element from Elementor. Just going to click on that and click on plus, and then we're going to look for quote here. A block quote. I'm going to drag and drop, and we're just going to put that in here. We're not going to put an author. Doesn't need to have an author. And let's see. We don't need a tweet button, but we could. This is going to be up to Sam, of course, if he wants to add that in there. And so in this case, it gives you an option to not only make a piece of content stand out from itself, but also people can share this. And when they read this, it's going to seem out of place, and they're going to be like, oh, what is this? Okay, well, they'll keep reading, and then they're going to get it in context down here. So let's see how that looks. We haven't customized that tweet button, so we may pull it out altogether. We're not sure. So let's see how that looks on a preview. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, we're going to click on the blog post here. Here's the quote. So it's not super customized yet. I would like this to be a little bit bigger and more highlighted visually, but this works really great. And then the rest of the blog post is pretty good. We have a link here. We have, and then that's it. I mean, that's the text at the end. So we have the video, we have a title, One more thing that we have to do, of course, is change the author to be the proper author, which is not me. It's going to be somebody else. So actually, I'll go back and do that in just a minute. Let's see if there's anything else. This is pretty much a perfect blog post in most ways. We have text, we have video, we have content that is divided visually, so it's easy to digest. We have one share button on a quote. We also have all the share buttons down below. Those are part of the theme, and they can be customized, of course. And so let's have a look at and see how that looks. Save draft. Now I'm not going to hit publish here because I still want the author, or Sam in this case, to go through and give it the final go and actually hit publish himself. But we are going to go one more step back and go back to the dashboard. We need to select a featured image, and we need to select an author. So let me go back to the dashboard, click here, and exit to dashboard. That's going to take us back to the traditional blog post from WordPress, and right here under author we're going to change that to Sam. There's also categories. It's under the blog already. If he wants to change it later, he could. Feature image is important because based on how the blog layout is going to be, you may have a layout that requires an image, and we actually haven't even talked about it for this website. So let me show you how a feature image looks on, for example, my blog. It's important to think about that because the size of your images in the blog matter. For example, mine has a 16:9 ratio. So I just have to make sure that when I make a blog post, see, my image is crafted to be 16:9. Even if I click on it and then later on the images inside are different sizes, my cover image, which is this, is 16:9. And you see it right here. I'm using it at the top. Sam is not using it. We don't have it. We haven't designed the blog post, the blog section yet. But that's what this featured image is. Oh, where did we go? Right here. So for the time being, we're going to pick one image, and I think this one may be good for now. I'm just going to set it. And I know that this image may get cropped right now until we decide what sizes we're going to use. And you can make it square, you can make it tall, you can make it wide. It's really up to you. What I would do is pick one that is good enough, say like a 4:3 ratio, and then look at your analytics after a month. Let me switch here. So I picked this image here as as a feature image, and it may get cropped like I was saying, but after a month or so of selecting images, you're going to see in your analytics, where are people visiting from? Is it their computer or is it their desktop? I mean, their desktop or their mobile devices. And based on that, you can determine what is the right size for your images. If you're looking on a desktop, then maybe a wide format will be better. But most of the trends are going to mobile devices, and those look better if it's a little bit taller than wider. So you may want to consider that after you look at your analytics. Tags are tricky. I would say only add one category, maybe two at most, and add no more than 7 tags if you are going to use them. And before you start adding tags to a blog post, make sure that you've thought about them in the long term. What you don't want to have is empty categories and empty tags, or tags or categories that only have one. After 30 days, if you only had one tag, you've only used a tag once, then it's probably not a good idea to be using it. Or if you're only blogging, twice a month, maybe after 10 blog posts, if you've only been using that tag once, then you may not want to use that. Try to focus on the bigger picture. For categories and tags, categories, of course, create a classification, and tags are more used for description. So categories can be Disneyland, and tags in this case could be Christmas, decoration, Mickey and Friends kind of things. So if you write an excerpt, this is where you put it in place. And an excerpt is useful for a lot of different things. It shows up on Google in some places, and it also may show in some sections of your website instead of the beginning of your blog post. So if we look at this, currently the default is going to be this section right here. That's going to be your excerpt by default. But if you wanted to get a little bit more creative and sophisticated, you would want to write an excerpt that is specifically written to highlight the entirety of the blog post. So you can spend a little bit of time doing that. That's also going to be what goes and gets shared onto Facebook and sometimes Twitter or Pinterest, wherever you're sharing your stuff. Discussion, it's up to you whether you're going to allow comments. I'm going to check yes for now because I think we want comments in there. And that's pretty much it for a blog post, okay? If you are having somebody else help you, you can set it to pending review, and that means that it's waiting for somebody to review it. You could also publish it later. So you could say publish in a date in the future. We're going to click on that for now. And then what you do is, notice the button, instead of saying publish, it switches to schedule. And we're going to do that for now. Since we put it in a month in advance, this is the next little screen that you get when you click on either schedule or publish. And it's just kind of telling you this is what's going to happen, and it's suggesting to add tags. We're not going to do that right now, but we're going to click on schedule. And that's it. At that point, your blog post is ready. If that was published, then it would be live. But in this case, notice it changed from admin that was there before to Sam. And this date is going to be July 1st, but of course, he's going to go in today and change this into today's post. And that pretty much answers, or that pretty much covers how to create a nice looking blog post. And as you can see, it's very easy to digest. There's 3 types of content that are very important for this. There's only one piece of content that's missing, and that would be an audio piece. And it's very, very easy to turn this into an audio. Simply use a recorder, something like this. Let me show you. You could take a recorder like this. You could even record straight into your computer and read your blog post. That's it. Then add it as a downloadable audio file, or maybe even create a podcast. Because a lot of people want to download audio and just listen to what you have to say, especially when you're telling a story like we're doing here. So that's it for today, guys. I appreciate everybody watching. I don't know if anybody joined or not. We're just crossed the hour mark, and I'm pretty happy how this turned out. I know I don't get a lot of people watching because this is the very first one. But like I said, if you are watching this later, make sure you go join my content and marketing group. I'm going to put the link down below. I'm giving a lot of tips and advice in there, as well as I'm going to try to do some giveaways, all kinds of things in there. And stay tuned. And also, if you want to be tuned in for new live events, new live tutorials, go and join it, because after a little while, I'm not going to keep posting this on my personal page. I'm just doing that to reach some new people. And I really, really appreciate you watching this. Yeah, so Sam just said that he will do a recording for this, and I think he should. I think I'm not going to say it, but there may be maybe some talk about a podcast in there. And I think you should start a podcast as well. Definitely a blog. The time to start content is right now, because we have censorship. We have massive networks that are going in all kinds of directions. And then you have to be following what they do, and you have to be chasing their algorithm and chasing this and that. My best advice is to build a website and then build content around it, and then build a link or link to an email list so that you can always reach the people that were interested enough to sign up. And it doesn't matter if Twitter goes away, it doesn't matter if Pinterest goes away, it doesn't matter if today's TikTok, yesterday was Snapchat, tomorrow will be something else. It doesn't matter. You will be ready for whatever, because you've been building your own legacy, and it's perfectly fine. And I still advise you to go into social media and post all your stuff there, but it is the most important for you to own your content. So no matter what, somebody could, if you're a business, a competitor could go in and mass report your post, and now they're going to be restricted until Facebook reviews them. This happens on YouTube every single day. Happens on Facebook as well, and you lose momentum. Now you have to go fight that and show that your content is good. So if you have it on your website, nobody can do that. You have complete control over it. So if you have any questions, You're welcome, Sam. We'll talk a little bit more offline, but if you have any questions, please drop them down below. If you found this useful, give me a thumbs up. If you like this and you want other people that you know could take advantage of this, send it to them, share it to them. I really appreciate it if you help me out with that. And other than that, I will catch you guys next time. Thanks for watching, and we are out. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Bye.